All right, guys, welcome back to. Welcome back.
Talking Lead.
Welcome back to the Gun Culture Radio Show.
Okay, fine. Gun Culture.
Thanks for interrupting me. I've got.
My plug in for the day.
Yeah, that's right. I've got Talking Lead here from the Zeke show. All right, is that what it is?
You just blew my mind. Yes.
Did that get you for a second?
It did. Yeah. So, am I partially left hand now too?
Yes.
Wow.
You have become one.
Wow, that's scary. That's real scary. Just kidding. Left hand still exists.
That's right. You guys are like Penn and Teller.
That's right. He said he talks a lot.
Except he talks. Yeah, he does. Oh man. Yeah, so I haven't done a show in a little while, so apologize for that. But I've been busy with Christmas and all that kind of stuff, and you guys know how that is. Yes. And it's, man, sometimes I get the feeling like Christmas is just very counterintuitive. It's not to take anything away from Christmas, but like, it's like you find yourself stressing to, okay, I got to run out and I got to buy all this stuff and I got to do all these things and go to all these places so I can be happy. I'll be really happy. You know, it's like.
And all it does is tick you off and you get mad at people at stores and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, forget about Black Friday. Like, I would pay double the price of any gift I would buy just to not deal with Black Friday. Yeah, that's just crazy. But, you know, when it's all said and done, you know, it's a fun experience, opening presents and stuff, especially if you have kids or something. I'm sure it's a lot of fun.
That's what makes it fun, is seeing the kids all excited about all the stuff they got.
Yeah, it's really for the kids. So it's cool.
It's for the children.
Yeah, that's right. Just like this show.
From our administration.
Yeah.
It's for the children.
That's right.
The show's for the children.
Yeah.
Teach your children well.
Yeah.
Isn't that a song?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
I believe it is. I'm pretty sure everything is probably a song.
And if it's not, we'll write it right now.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's at least thought of it.
Yes.
Or it was at least in Bob Dylan's trash at one point.
Exactly.
Which okay, I have to rag on new music for a second. I find it interesting that a band no one's ever heard of dug up an old Bob Dylan song that he never released, Wagon Wheel, and it was like one of the most popular songs ever for a brief period of time. What does that tell you about popular music right now? Old Crow Medicine Show?
Never heard of it.
Exactly. So what does that tell you about the music from the 70s, that some band just dug up some old song that wasn't even anything from back then?
That it's awesome?
And then it just... Yeah, and then it just became this huge hit. You can't even walk to a bar. You can't even walk down on Broadway in Nashville without hearing Wagon Wheel coming out of some bar down there.
I did not know that was a Bob Dylan song.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I don't think he ever released it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but at least I know it was never like a hit back then. Yeah. But I don't think it was ever released. I think it was just something he wrote that he just never did anything with, and the Old Crow found out about it or whatever. Yeah. And then a bunch of people have covered it. Like what's the dude from Hootie and the Blowfish or something like that. Yeah. Whatever that guy is.
Darius Rucker.
Yeah, he covered it.
Well, the music nowadays is all manufactured anyways.
Yeah, it's a business.
There's a handful of just brilliant artists that'll pop up every now and then.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm a big fan of Howard Stern.
Right.
I was listening to an interview of Sia. Have you heard of Sia?
No.
Exactly. Okay. Have you heard the song "Shine Bright Like a Diamond" by Rihanna?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, it's a really good song. I'm not a pop artist. I'm not a pop song fanatic. I don't really like pop music nowadays. But that song's really good. So I was impressed with Rihanna for a little while until I figured out she didn't write that song. Somebody else did, and they manufactured it in a
lab.
Music studio. Yeah, basically a lab.
It's GMO music.
Yeah. Did Monsanto produce that album?
I think he probably did.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But you listen to some of the old music, and like we were listening to a minute ago, we were listening to Led Zeppelin.
I just realized I gave Monsanto a personification. I said he probably.
Well, they are a company as a person. No,
that's right.
What's the new law?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Anyways,
we were listening to Led Zeppelin a minute ago.
That's right.
You can't. The thing that scares me the most is that these.
That was perfect.
Wow. Is that these record companies are figuring out that it's cheaper for them to find somebody that quote unquote wants to be famous,
right,
and has a little bit of talent, and tweak their music and tweak this and tweak that and buy good songs from other musicians,
right,
and put it in there.
Right, it's a formula.
Right, there's a formula for it.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Well, actually, no.
Well, she's a songwriter. That's right.
She's a writer herself, but Rihanna. Let's just use her.
Okay.
You know, she's a hot chick that.
What you have to be? How many ugly female singers have you seen? Not many.
Decline comment. No comment. Seen a few.
Which is another reason why. It's like you think about just by sheer odds, there should be some that aren't and some that are.
Yeah.
But there aren't really.
And I'm going to have a lot of people go off on me, and I always have people go off on me when I say this, and just in conversation. But I went to a really kick-ass wedding a few days ago, and they had a lot of Beatles songs in the wedding. And
that's true.
I'm a huge Beatles fan. So immediately I went to my car and I started listening to the Beatles. And I've got, let's see, on my iPod I've got Rubber Soul, the White Album, Revolver, Abbey Road, and Magical Mystery Tour. You listen to some of those songs and listen to like the deep poetry that they write and the musicianship. And a lot of people are like, oh, Beatles are overrated. Whatever. They're a lot better than anything that's out right now.
Yeah.
And you listen to the stuff that we were listening to earlier.
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin. I mean, amazing musicianship. And yes, a lot of Led Zeppelin songs were ripped off from old blues artists.
Yeah.
We get that. But at least they can play their own music.
Right.
And, ooh, wow, this is going to be a fun one for the trolls. Every time I come on your show, I get the trolls all right. But they didn't come after us last time.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's because nobody listens.
Oh.
See, they have to listen to get mad.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
But anyways, and you're going to laugh your ass off at this. One Direction are good musicians. And I was shocked when I saw a video of
Leave now.
Playing music. I don't like
this is over.
I don't like their music. Yo, don't get me wrong. I don't like their music, but at least they're a real band.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know if they're a band beforehand, but all of them are musicians too. They can play instruments. To where it's not like, manufactured boy bands they just throw on the TV that, are cute to all the girls and they go crazy over them. But yeah. Music. That's a good topic.
Yeah, it is.
I could go on for hours on that.
I know. And it's just crazy because I'm of course I like heavy metal a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm also a big nut about all the old 70s classic rock stuff. And you go back and listen to that stuff and it's just so amazing. And the stuff and the content of the lyrics and the music, the feeling that it puts out, all that kind of stuff. One thing I think about with music, really, the lyrics are awesome. I love different lyrics and songs. They mean some really powerful things that, will hit you differently depending on certain things. But really, when it's all said and done, the thing that the song really means is how it makes you feel when you listen to it.
Right.
And one thing that bugs me is a lot of popular music that I've heard, the way that it makes you feel is not necessarily what I would consider a healthy way to feel. It's very ego-driven kind of stuff. It's not that let's all make the world a better place kind of stuff that you were getting from the 70s. It's more like, look at me, I'm so special kind of stuff. And that just I don't know, that just rubs me the wrong way.
It's all the boyfriend girlfriend
who
cutesy
likes stuff.
And yeah, even the 70s and
there was always that
bubblegum pop,
right? Yeah.
But nowadays, it seems like everything's like that.
Yeah, it's all been hijacked by pop music.
Yeah, it has. And even the rock music nowadays, it's not rock music.
Yeah.
Like 102.9. It's a local Nashville radio station.
Yeah.
And it used to be our rock station.
Yeah.
It's where we would go to hear the new rock bands coming out. It actually used to be 103.3 KDF. Now it's a country station.
Yeah.
But you listen to it now, and I'm like, this is not rock.
Yeah.
This is pop with a hard guitar in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's manufactured just like everything else.
Yeah.
Have you been watching the Foo Fighters show on, I think it's HBO?
No.
Amazing TV show.
Really?
It's what they've done. It just finished, and they released the album with the finish of it. They've gone to a bunch of different cities. I think there's 12 tracks on the album or 10 or something. And they've gone to each one of these cities, talk to the musicians in those cities, get deep down in the culture of the music in those cities. Then they write one song for the album from each one of the cities.
Wow, that's awesome. This is like I heard something about that.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar, but that's awesome.
But it's really amazing to see and feel that deep culture of music. They recorded in Nashville, one of them.
Wow.
Chicago was a really good one. They did a lot of blues stuff there. But you see that and you're like, our music culture nowadays is dead.
Yeah.
Like when I was growing up, I was forced to play piano. I wanted to play drums, so I eventually got to play drums. Played a little bit of bass guitar. When I got in college, I started playing guitar a little bit. Never was good at any of them. Like the 2 bands I was in, like I dabbled in the drums and the bass. And they're like, why don't you sing for us? Yeah, okay. But nowadays, like my kids the other day, I realized they haven't even expressed any desire to play a musical instrument. And it's probably because a lot of the stuff they listen to is done with a computer.
Like electronic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's sad because I think music is a big part of our culture.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So is guns.
That's right. Oh, yeah, I forgot. This is a gun show.
Yeah, I think we did this last time too, didn't we?
I think so, yeah. Hey, you know what? Maybe it's a crazy theory, but sometimes I get this idea that maybe people who like guns also like other things. I don't know. Maybe not.
No.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Because according to all the news outlets, if we like guns, that's all we do is we stare at our guns all day.
We sit and we shake with fear.
Right.
And we just stockpile everything
and
that we
can.
make
plans to overthrow the world.
Yeah, exactly.
With our Ruger 1022
yeah.
that kills 22 people with 10 shots.
Yeah.
According to Mom's Demand Action.
I haven't heard that, but that's funny.
You haven't seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, yeah. Or no, it wasn't Mom's Demand Action. There's a Twitter account of this lady, and I'm still trying to figure out if she's a parody or not, because some of the stuff she says is like way over the top.
Yeah.
But she had this one tweet that she put out that the Ruger 1022 got its name because you can kill 22 people with 10 shots.
That has to be a joke. Surely they're not that. Oh, man. I don't know, though. I mean, they say some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah.
That's funny. There was an ad that they put out. I don't remember if it was them. Is every town the same as Mom's Demand Action, or are they different?
That PSA?
Oh, the Thanksgiving thing? Is that what you're thinking of?
The one where the kid steals his parents' gun?
Oh, no. Yeah, I have seen that. That was crazy.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is that whole, like, one of their big pushes had been the guns and grocery stores thing. Yeah. And they had this ad where it was a picture of 2 people, and one of them was like this like skater looking kid, and one of them was like this like mid-40s like dad, and he had a gun, and it was like, one of these is not allowed in a grocery store. And of course the thing was like, how crazy is this? You can bring a device for killing into a grocery store, but not a skateboard that's harmless. You know, well, first of all,
I used to be a skater. I could have killed somebody with it.
Well, yeah, but first of all, a skateboard extremely disruptive in a grocery store.
Yes.
An honest person carrying a gun, not at all. Because if a bad person wants to carry a gun in there, what, he's gonna not because of a sign? Yeah, and that's crazy. I mean, not that I have to convince you, but it's just like, it's crazy.
Look at the guy that was buying the new Jordans recently. Was it this week, last week, something like that?
Yeah,
was buying a new pair of the new Jordans, and we all know what kind of craze that causes.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy mugged him and tried to rob the shoes from him.
Yeah.
He was a concealed carry holder.
Oh, man.
Shot him dead.
Wow.
And the guy, let me rephrase this. He didn't come up and punch him. He pulled a weapon on him.
Yeah.
So it was a justified shooting.
Right.
And my mic is slowly slipping down.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get this right.
It takes a little elbow grease.
For those of you watching this on YouTube, you're seeing my mic just kind of slowly drip down. And then I got to slowly get back up there.
Just sink further and further into your chair.
It's probably my fault.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm trying to decide if leaning back shows my gut worse or sitting up. So one day I'll figure it out.
Yeah. We'll do like a scientific study on it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have like little marks on the
yeah.
page. Oh, gut is showing 2 inches more with this position.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Just like all those crazy YouTube videos that try to like prove things. It's like, oh man, you're like, never mind. I'm not going to get into that.
That Hickok 45 guy is always trying to prove that he's got the best way for carving pumpkins, and I just don't get it.
Yeah,
he is weird, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I hear he's like tall and stuff, and those guys are all weird.
Yeah, they are. Anyone who's tall, yep.
I don't know.
All weird. We all have these like really inferiority complexes because we're like really big.
Yeah.
So we feel like since we're big, we have to show everybody how big we are and beat up everybody.
Well, I walk into Kroger and I go Hulk smash and just start throwing stuff.
Yeah.
Just to make people freak out a little bit. But.
Yeah, I like to stand really close to short people and just look down just to make them feel intimidated.
And breathe real heavy.
Yeah. And my favorite thing is when I get asked how tall I am by strangers, and if I play basketball. That's probably my favorite thing about being tall.
Yeah, I told you what I tell people that ask me if I played basketball. Even though we both did, I tell them I was the world's tallest jockey, and they usually like that.
That's pretty funny.
But I've told you my story at college, right?
Maybe I can't remember.
What's the weather like?
I can't remember.
I'll tell it again.
Okay, tell it again.
All right, so me and one of the guys that was on the team at the time were walking down the hall to our class, and there was this little guy that would come out and, smart off, say something about our height. It's funny. Well, the other guy I was with, he's your height. You're 6'10", right?
8.
6'8".
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You're taller than your dad, right?
No, I'm about to say he might be shrinking. I don't know.
Because I'm 6'7", and y'all got me by at least 2 inches. Maybe not.
I'm 6'8".
Oh, okay. Yeah. Are you doing the opposite of Shaq? You're not padding it a little bit? You're like,
no, no, I don't like to pat it.
Shaq's only like 6'11", 6'10".
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He's not 7'2".
Really?
No.
Well, I always heard he was like 7'1" or something. So he's only like 6'10".
Yeah, he's probably 6'10", maybe right at 7 foot, a little under.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of basketball players do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like 6'9" at one point in time.
Yeah.
No, I never really was. Yeah. But anyway, so he's 6'10", but he's built like a linebacker. And the guy walks up to us, and he had a rough morning because the coach chewed him out and all this stuff. And he's like, "Hey, guys, how's the weather up there?" He spit in the guy's face and told him it was raining. It was awesome. And at the same time, I was scared.
Yeah.
I was like, are we about to throw down in the middle of this hallway?
Yeah.
But it was pretty
That would be kind of scary, but you almost get what you deserve in some of those situations.
It's just like, yes, we're tall.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's so, like, someone's like really fat or really ugly. You're not going to point that out. So it sucks that like being tall is considered a good thing. So you have to deal with people always.
Well, and that's the other thing that drives me nuts. Man, I wish I was your height.
Oh yeah, what am I supposed to say to that?
It's phenomenal. Sucks to be you.
Yeah. That's another thing. Most of the stuff they say, there's like no, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not that creative or witty, but I can't think of something to say.
But see, they don't have the calluses on the top of our skull that we have from hitting exit signs and all the other crap.
Yeah.
It's hard to make out with a girl because, first of all, it's hard to find a girl that's 6'2" and above. Yeah. So we always have bigger thighs because we're squatting to kiss our girlfriend.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man. Yep, it's crazy. But what?
And guns.
Oh yeah, guns.
Let's talk about height and guns.
That's right. Yeah.
Because there's only 2 bullpups that I can comfortably manipulate. One, the Tavor, and Tavor's pushing it. I'm still a little.
Tavor's not bad, but I wasn't just totally sold on it.
But the RDB, the Keltec RDB,
it's
pretty comfortable for long arms. But everything else, like the AUG and what's the other?
I actually liked the old school AUG. I actually liked that.
Were you comfortable with the long
It wasn't
arms?
bad, yeah. I may have liked it more just because it was so iconic, but
one of my favorite looks wise, and I love the round and the ballistics from the round, is the PS90 or P90, whichever one you want. I can't use it. I've tried to
it's like one of the worst in it.
Yeah, because it's like you're all compressed.
Yeah,
and your arms are so long they're getting in the way of actually getting a cheek weld and everything.
Yeah.
So being tall with guns can sometimes be a pain too.
Yeah, it really can.
Even with handguns. With the bigger hands. Yeah,
because I don't find that I have too many problems with small guns. I can carry the little car P380. I do okay with it.
Are you, like with the smaller Glocks, for instance, like the Glock 30, I'm more accurate with it, even with the big hands, than I am with the 21.
I've actually had that experience some.
Yeah.
Because the hump on the bigger Glocks, like the 19 or the 17 or whatever, it hits me at least in a really weird spot.
Right.
But on the 26 or the 27, it's like that hump just goes right into the palm of my hand.
You know what I just realized?
What's that?
That whole conversation we did the last time I was on the show, I think. Because I remember you talking about the hump.
Did we? Oh, maybe.
Oh, well.
Well, maybe the listeners also have short-term memory, and it seems exciting to them.
Or maybe they can start a drinking game every time we repeat a story we told.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Oh man. But one thing, I did actually plan on talking about something, even though it doesn't seem that way.
Really?
Yeah, I know. But like, we were talking going back to like all the anti-gun groups.
Yeah.
I believe it's Moms Demand Action, I think, is the one that's suing Bushmaster, right? Who is it? Is it them or is it a different one?
It's the group of parents from Newtown.
So it's not like an anti-gun group. It's just the parents that's doing it.
Don't hold me to that, but I'm almost positive it's parents of kids that were killed in Newtown.
Okay, because I'm not super clear on all that, but I've read some articles on it and stuff, and it's just crazy. I mean, and of course, one of the best comparisons to that is, they're not going to go sue a car company because a guy intentionally drives in like some kind of car, and like kills a bunch of people. Right. Now Toyota was being sued because their car was malfunctioning.
Right.
As bad as it sounds, the Bushmaster did what it was supposed to do.
Right.
It's designed to put ammunition inside of it and fire out the barrel. It did that. Right. How someone uses it, obviously, is I mean, it's not irrelevant, but it's when it comes to like a lawsuit. I mean, that you can't be liable for that. You could use anything as a weapon. It's just crazy.
And to cover your beep.
Wait, did I cuss?
No, you didn't.
Oh.
Just to kind of go back on what you said it did what it's supposed to do. John is not saying it's supposed to kill mass groups of people in a school. He's not saying that.
Yeah.
Because there are people that will take stuff like that and run with it.
Yeah.
Somebody said, like I said something about cyber terrorism and Sony, the whole thing that happened with the interview.
Yeah.
And, that's not terrorism. Howard Stern had a big article that they said Howard Stern thinks everybody in 9/11 was worthless because he called the Sony attack terrorism. And it's a different form of terrorism.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with what you said, but anybody listening to this, that's his disclaimer and my disclaimer. That's not what we're saying.
No, that's like I was saying.
It's not a malfunctioning product that caused all that chaos.
Like I was saying, the gun is designed to, you put ammo in it and bullets shoot out the barrel. That's what it's designed to do, and that's exactly what it did.
And it's like, when you say, well, because the car killed somebody, are we going to take away that guy or everybody's cars? People will use that in an anti-gun argument or gun argument, and then the other person will get mad. Let's just take another item that's used for killing, a knife.
Yeah.
So somebody stabs somebody with, and I'm not even going to say a butcher knife, because then the argument's going to be like, oh, well, yeah, a butcher knife's made for cutting up meat, blah, blah. Let's say a tactical, tanto blade, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Somebody uses that in a killing. They kill a family member of mine. Does that mean I can go sue the knife company? Yeah, it's crazy. And back to what you said. Any item that's used to murder someone,
right? You
can murder somebody with that guitar right there.
Yeah.
I just got a weird, uncomfortable feeling as I said that.
No pun intended, right?
Yes.
You could murder them metaphorically, like Angus Young.
Yes, you could. Yeah.
Or you could murder them literally.
Or if you can't play well,
it'd have to be literally. That's about the only option there.
But I mean, does that mean you're gonna go and sue Jackson?
Yeah.
Guitar. He has a Jackson guitar, by the way.
Yeah.
I guess the people in the other camera can see it.
Yeah. Folks at home can tell.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And of course, we all know that it's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's so much. It's like, surely, here's the thing. I've almost given up on trying to, think of a way, like, how can we explain to these anti-gun groups, or these, that's not an anti-gun group in this case, but how can we explain to these people, put some common sense, behind it, all this kind of stuff. I don't really think they care about that.
No.
I think they are just trying to put all the blame on guns because they think that shouldn't be part of society. Mm-hmm. Is all it is. So I mean, there's not a whole lot that we can really do as far as talking to them. We've just got to stay vigilant with the voting and the and just spreading the word and stuff like that. I almost think that because of the internet, you can actually do more than you could with one vote. Back in the old days, just by talking about it.
Yeah.
Putting information out there, and information is the key. Like people's lack of information is what makes them read an article about something like that, and then going, oh, that makes sense. They should sue the company.
Well, and let's play make believe for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a way they would win that lawsuit. And it would be, this is the Bushmaster commercial. Buy yourself a Bushmaster AR so you can murder lots of people in enclosed spaces. Guess what? They're liable.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that.
Right.
That's not what they did. So in no way are they liable for what somebody used that tool, that weapon, for. If it was an illegal purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy. And also they're trying to sue some companies that sold the guy the Aurora, Colorado shooter in the theater. They're trying to sue some of the companies that he bought like ammo from and like magazines and stuff like that. Saying like, how did someone with a mental disability buy this ammo and all this kind of stuff. I mean, they're treating the symptoms. They're treating the symptoms of a problem. When you treat the symptoms, really they're not even doing that because it's not going to do anything. They're attempting to treat the symptoms, and they're not going to be successful even in that. The problem is it has and will always be people. Right. People are the problem. And until we start treating people as the problem instead of all these material objects, or systems, laws, all these kinds of things, nothing is ever going to change.
Well, and it's like one of your and I's favorite show hosts made this quote, and he said, "This country has a mental health problem that's disguised as a gun problem and a tyranny problem that's disguised as a security problem."
Yeah.
And that was Joe Rogan.
Yeah. It's brilliant. Yeah.
And that's what it is. They're wow, that was like a C-130
yeah. They're coming to get us.
Man, y'all's compound's getting more secure every time I come.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like now you got C-130s flying.
Yeah, that's right. That's not them coming to get. That's our security. That's right.
Okay, just make sure.
That's right. No, this is the compound site B.
Yes. But they're disguising all the real issues and going after anything they can blame because it's human nature. If something goes wrong that's just disturbing and horrible, we want to blame something, and we want to blame someone immediately. We found the someone, we know who it is, and it's almost like human nature is to not accept, okay, we got the guy.
Yeah.
It's now we got to keep blaming. We got to blame the things. We got to blame the stuff. We got to blame the businesses. We got to blame. None of that's going to give you closure.
Yeah. No. And then
let's say they win $1 billion. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But let's say they do. It's not going to give them closure.
Yeah.
It's not going to bring their kids back.
And here's what doesn't make sense too. I was thinking about this the other day about that. So something horrible happened to someone that you care about.
Yeah.
You know what'll make me feel better? Lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
Like how empty is that?
It is.
I mean, that's extremely empty.
There's a quote that, it's a, and I'm not saying that I'm a Buddhist when I say this, but it's a Buddhist quote. I think actually the Dalai Lama said it.
Yeah. He doesn't know anything.
What's that?
I said he doesn't know anything.
No. When you go to get something, purchase something, do something, anything, think first, is this going to give me pleasure or if this is going to give me happiness? And there's a big difference.
Yeah.
That big wad of money that you get to make everything happy because your parent or friend or brother or whoever died, somebody close to you, it's going to give you pleasure. But here's the thing. Pleasure is temporary.
Yeah.
Happiness is long term.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that all material things can't bring you happiness. I mean, John Lennon said it best. Happiness is a warm gun.
That's right. He did. We might have been talking about something else, but we'll attach our own meaning to it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I'll admit it. When I shot my Mosin for the first time, actually, I think it was with you when I shot my Mosin the first time.
Oh yeah, at the
I was like, that brought me happiness. I was happy, and now every time I see that Mosin, I'm like, that's I love Mosin.
Yeah.
Some people think it's an overrated gun, but hey, it's been used in every war since World War I. So
yeah, it's still cool. I like them. I like Mausers better, honestly, but Mosins are awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and it's got a crappy bolt that's hard to cycle. I mean, But gosh, there's something about that rifle.
Yeah.
But I do have happiness that comes from that. It's not just a pleasure feeling. It's kind of like the historical and stuff. Buying a new Glock 19, that's pleasure.
Yeah.
I got a Glock 19. If I get another one, it's just pleasure. Ooh, I got another Glock to my collection.
Yeah.
So you kind of weigh things that way.
And the way I see pleasure is that's one way that some people I think can be misguided is their pleasure is the ultimate thing that they're seeking, but really pleasure is just kind of like to get the ball rolling.
Right.
It's kind of what it is. It's kind of like the motivation to kind of get moving with yourself, but you find there's other things that are actually much more satisfying. Not to take anything away from pleasure, though.
You may want to edit this. You may not, because it makes sense. So it just depends on what you want on your channel or not. We're all adults. Let's talk sex. I don't know about women, so I'm not claiming what women sense. But there's sometimes as a guy, when you have that moment of pleasure, y'all know what I'm saying. I'm not going to come out and say it.
The part we're all working towards.
Yes, the part you're working towards. The climactic finish.
Right.
Sometimes afterwards, you're like, oh, why did I do that?
Yeah.
So that's pleasure.
Yeah.
It's fleeting. It's gratification instantly, or sometimes you got to work for it, whatever. Happiness would be the same thing with someone you love, and afterwards you're just like, this is right.
That's what I was going to say. Sometimes the afterwards almost feels better than the,
Yeah, and it's not just sex. It's so many different things. And back to our subject, these people, if they get a big wad of cash and they buy cars and they buy houses and they buy everything else, it's pleasure. Yeah, because happiness would be their kids still there. Yeah, that's happiness. And when they look at all the stuff they've amassed from a lawsuit they're not going to win, it's not going to happen. Yeah.
It's like George Carlin had this quote, and I may not say it exactly right, but he said something to the effect of finding happiness, or like trying to get a lot of money to be happy is like taping a bunch of sandwiches to yourself if you're hungry. It's something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
But it's true. Yeah. But to me, like, money is first of all, people like almost act like money is just like own little separate thing. Resources, basically, the resources will always and have always been, a subject of want, for all of life, and always will be. So there's nothing inherently bad about it. People they say, "Oh, money is the root of all evil." No, I mean it's resources, like is what you're talking about. Resources are not the root of all evil. That's how we live. Yeah. So it's not inherently bad, but I had a point that I was going towards, and now I forgot it.
Good. That's a good point. Happiness, pleasure, money, root of all evil.
What was I going to say?
Bringing back from the dead.
I can't remember.
Guns, dude. Freaking guns, man.
It was like I was in a maze and I was good, and then all of a sudden I was like, "Oh,
you hit a wall." And
there's a wall
no cheese.
Here. Yeah,
there's no
cheese.
The
cheese. Yeah. If I think of it later, I'll get back to it.
Okay, that'll work perfect.
Yeah,
I have those moments often.
Yeah.
Did I just say moments? I have these moments.
You did.
I have these moments all the time. It's fantastic.
But honestly, like, people give you hard times, like, "Oh, yeah, loser, slacker," whatever. Yeah, brain fades like that. But honestly, like, if you're trying to figure things out, like, you're gonna have brain fades like that. If you're trying to put together
brain fart. That's what
brain fart. Yeah, if you're trying to put together a complex thought, it's just gonna happen.
Well, when you're tall, your brains are bigger, so we have a lot of stuff to sift through.
That's right. Well, see, actually, something that short people don't know about is that tall people actually have a helper brain, just like the dinosaurs. The big dinosaurs that have.
Is that
those?
What that thing is?
Yeah. So there's actually a smaller brain that's in the lower. Well, yeah, there's that too.
Edit.
There's that too. And then, but there's actually a small brain like in the lower spine, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes the connection gets a little bit lost on those.
Yes.
And that's why tall people.
And if it's in the lower spine, that's where the term brain fart comes from.
Exactly.
It's close to where
exactly.
A real fart comes
and that's
from.
why tall people are really smart, but sometimes they have those things where they're like, oh, I don't remember what I was saying.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
See, and a lot of times we try to look like the big, tall, dumb jock to disguise. It's our camouflage.
That's right.
We're really like Einstein inside.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think Einstein wasn't really smart. He just stole all of his ideas.
Sure. Because the tested 160 IQ, whatever.
Yep. he cheated off the guy next to him.
Garbage. Yeah, you can cheat on an IQ test. Oh, wow.
Oh, man. I really wish I could remember what I was trying to say. Well, see, what's frustrating is like when I edit these and I go back and look, I'm like,
no, you don't need to edit any of that because it's awesome.
Okay, no, I'm not. Okay, well, I mean, I'm not
Maybe
saying.
Comment, but not the rest.
What I should have said was review.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like cut that out. I'm just saying like whenever I go back and rewatch it,
yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute, why did I forget that? That doesn't make any sense.
Do you know how to do a beep on there?
I could probably. Yeah, I've done it before. Yeah, I did.
You want to leave? Just bleep.
Well, usually what I do is actually I don't actually do like a bleep sound. I just kill the audio in that spot. So it's just you know what I'm saying? So there's just nothing there. Because one time, the first time I ever did a video where we did like a outtakes video like years ago.
Oh yeah.
And I cut out some cuss words. What I did was, at the time at least, seemed like a good idea. I took my guitar, had it like C-tuned, so it was just nasty sounding, and I just, it did like a just nasty, wicked like crunch sound, and I put that over the cuss words, but it was like way too loud, so people got really pissed off about it.
Well, see, there's one I use on there that's not really a bleep, but it sounds like a turd dropping into it. It's like,
oh,
so
that's funny.
That's what I use.
But yeah, I just cut the audio out. But yeah, I keep trying to think of what I was talking about. But basically, though, like that's the main point I was trying to sort of, I guess, maybe I'm guessing at this point I was trying to make about money is like money, is resources, so we don't want to make it, something that it's not. When you talk about like, oh, you shouldn't care about money. Of course you're gonna care about money to some extent. And I guess probably something like that I was trying to say was just don't make money, like the acquisition of resources, your goal, but make the journey of doing that part of your goal. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing wrong with wanting to make money.
Right.
Without some kind of goal like that, we might not strive to be the people that we are in a lot of ways.
Right.
Because you do. I mean, we all like want to be lazy.
Yeah.
So if there's nothing to work for, if we could have everything just a snap of a finger that we ever wanted, we'd never learn how to do anything.
How do I do that?
I haven't figured it out yet. Oh, okay. So it's like, that's what kills me sometimes when people, they make things seem so black and white. This is bad, this is good, always, or whatever. It's just, perspective, I guess.
But yeah, they're definitely not going to win that lawsuit.
No. Oh yeah, I forgot we were talking about that.
Yeah.
But yeah. There's just no way. If they do, then I don't know. I mean, that's just, I don't even know what I would think about that if they did. I mean, that would really, really, really surprise me. But that's just crazy. And we've definitely, one thing too that brings me to is we've got to support gun companies that we feel like are behind us on the whole Second Amendment thing. I'm not saying like go out and buy a bunch of Bushmasters or something. But we want them to be a sponsor. No, I'm just kidding. but I'm not saying that that's necessarily the thing to do. I've even heard actually Bushmasters don't have the reputation that they used to. No. But still, what I'm trying to say though.
Thank you, Freedom Group.
Yeah, really, exactly. But still, we should, when it makes sense, don't go out and buy a bunch of crappy guns just because you want to support them, but still we should, if we can, try to support the gun companies that are supporting our right to bear arms.
And disclaimer for me, don't go tell your wife that Zeke from Talking Lead said to go buy a Mosin because it'll make you all happy.
Yeah. That's right.
Or wait a minute, can I use that on my wife? Yes. I will say we discussed on the show I need to buy more guns. It'll make me happy.
There you go.
Yes.
More guns equals happy. Got it.
Ooh, new T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
More guns equals happy.
Yeah. Oh man, it's sad. I know some people that they have to like hide their gun purchases from like their wives, their girlfriends, and stuff like that.
Or you just put it in the safe. See, I can't do that because my wife knows guns and she likes guns.
Yeah.
But, you know, if your wife's not into it, oh, yeah, you have your little hobby, go do it, whatever.
They don't know what they cost. Yeah,
yeah, just put it in the safe. And then, oh, I hadn't seen that gun before, sweetie. And you're like, oh, no, I've had this forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's been here. You hadn't seen this?
Yeah.
Mini 14. What? See, exactly. Yeah.
That's why I try to keep, my wife on kind of like, I don't want her to know too much about guns, which I am married, by the way. It either happened recently or a long time ago. We'll never know. But, I don't want her to know too much about guns because then she'll know how much I spend on them sometimes. Yeah. But also we get free guns. So that works out too.
At what level of subscribers do we get free guns? When did that start for you guys? Because we're waiting.
Yeah.
Actually, I take that back.
I have no idea, actually.
We have gotten a couple. We have gotten a couple through the podcast, though, not through YouTube.
Yeah.
People will send them to us to shoot on YouTube, but they won't send them to us to say, go ahead, it's yours.
Yeah. Honestly, I have no idea, to be honest. I mean, when it comes to the business stuff, that's not really something I've really talked about with any of the other YouTubers or whatever, that kind of stuff. But we do get them. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, pretty much all the YouTubers we know get free guns, but us.
Yeah.
I can't lie. I won't, self-deprecate that bad. With the podcast, we do have a lot more going with that. So we have gotten some free stuff with that. So
yeah. Well, yeah, obviously, yeah, you're not a YouTube channel. You're a podcast that has a YouTube channel.
Checks are always better.
Yeah.
Bushmaster.
Yeah. We were just kidding about your guns. Yeah. We actually like them. We think they're the best ARs ever made.
Unless you don't send a check, then they suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute. That makes us sellouts. Never mind.
Yeah. I know.
Send a check.
Yeah. I know. People will throw that whole sellout word out there so quickly.
What's that?
People will throw the sellout word out there so quickly.
Okay. Can I like look into the camera and address your audience?
Yes, you may.
YouTube and podcast and any other kind of new media out there takes time and effort and money. So if anyone ever gets a sponsor, it's because it's going to help them provide the content that you want. With our podcast, we've got 4 paying sponsors now. And we got that left and right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a sellout. No, they approached us and said, hey, can we be a sponsor? And one of the things that we do, I don't know, I'm pretty sure y'all do it too, with our sponsorships, we tell them up front, yeah, okay, let's say ABC Guns contacts us and says, hey, we want to sponsor your show. Great, that's awesome. We'll make you a main sponsor. But we're going to talk about XYZ guns, PDQ guns, everything else.
Right.
You can't keep us from doing that. Just because you get a sponsor on any kinds of on a new media outlet doesn't mean that they're your life now. So like say Glock sponsored us. We're not going to be like, oh, SIG sucks and HK suck and everything sucks but Glock. Glock is Glock, Glocky, Glock, 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 Glock.
Yeah.
We kind of do that anyways. But we hadn't got a dime Glock.
Yeah.
No, we love the guys down there. But just because you get a sponsor doesn't mean that you're a sellout.
Right.
That's how you make money in media.
Yeah.
A lot of people maybe that listen to your show don't realize this, but I used to run two radio stations. They're Mexican radio stations, but they're still radio stations. Functions the same way. If we got a Chevy dealership to sponsor a show, it doesn't mean that I'm driving Chevy the rest of my life.
Right.
No, they paid money to help us produce the content. And it's the same thing with what we're doing with YouTube or anything else. In front of this video, if you watch this on YouTube, there's probably going to be some kind of pre-roll ad. If it's 5 Hour Energy, do you think John and I are sitting here going, hey, 5 Hour Energy, it's greatest stuff in the world. Thanks for putting that commercial in front. No, We're not doing that. we might get 0.00009 cents out of it.
Yeah.
But but it's still, the whole sellout thing, just quit it. And if you don't like seeing people that have sponsors, don't watch, don't listen. It's that simple. Just change the channel.
Yeah, exactly.
I never understood when people would go off on Howard Stern.
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. It's evil stuff. All he talks about is chicks and naked and boobs and strippers, and which is not true if you ever listen to. But it's this easy. Turn the dial.
Yeah.
Quit listening.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, and sometimes I think people are confused about what sell out means. I mean, sell out. That means you have sold basically everything that you are to someone else, and someone else has total control over what you are.
Now, a sellout would be if all of a sudden you see John and Hickok 45 wearing Cabela's hats, Cabela's shirts, Cabela's pants, and Cabela's shoes, and every other word they say is Cabela's.
And we only talked about products that they sell.
Right. And then if somebody came on your show and said, hey, I went to Bass Pro. No, you need to go to Cabela's.
Yeah.
That's selling out.
Yeah. Then you're basically marketing for them.
Right. Then you're an infomercial.
Yeah.
Infomercials are selling out.
Yeah.
Having a sponsor.
But of course, that was their goal to begin with. So.
Yeah. Having a sponsor is not selling out.
No, not at all.
It's trying to make a living and still provide the content that people enjoy watching and listening to.
Right.
Because if it wasn't for YouTube AdSense, I wouldn't be able to buy a stick of gum every month. If it wasn't for our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to do our podcast every week. Because we have to make a living. Yeah. And both Left Hand and I both have real jobs too. Yeah. And we still provide that content. So, anyways, that's my rant for the day. Yeah. This rant brought to you by Cabela's. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I mean, not really. It could be Bass Pro, whoever wants to send me a check.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of work goes into this. You know, if I had to work another job, I wouldn't be able to put as much time into it as I do.
Like how much time have we recorded right now?
Let's see.
And dead air.
Yeah. 47 minutes.
All right. So 47 minutes. Usually with a podcast, if I record an hour show, I've gotten better with it. But for the first year or so, an hour took about 3 hours to edit. Yeah. Because unlike video you have visual cues too. Right. So you can go cut to clips and stuff. Audio, you have to listen to every second. And it's not like you can put it on high speed, because sometimes I do that if I know there hasn't been any cussing or anything. Yeah. I just try to zip through it. But if I know, okay, there's some stuff I got to catch, you got to listen to the whole thing. Well, let's say we listen to this and I say, and you just cut it out. From you to listen to it, and that was 2 seconds of talking. For you to listen to it, 2 seconds. Go back 2-3 seconds. Highlight it, 2 seconds. Click the beep or the sound cutout you want, 2 seconds. And sometimes our software isn't always that fast. Sometimes you gotta wait for a little spinning beach ball. Yeah. You're looking at 45 seconds to edit a 2 second clip. Yeah. In audio. You add that all up, you're talking hours to edit a 1 hour show. Yeah. Video, same way. That Hickok 45 guy, the guy that does his editing, oh my God. I can't imagine, because in real life, he's like, he never speaks eloquently. He just stumbles over himself. Yep. And, if he wants to say Glock, he says, Sig Fabrique or something. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But, video takes a while to edit too. Yeah. Especially if you're putting in effects and, little writing things and everything, which y'all have brilliantly avoided that. And I don't know how you did it, but I wish I knew how.
We were all about I guess productivity. We're like, let's get as much material out as we can. And, so we don't worry about that stuff.
I have recently told somebody that y'all are the Google of guns.
Yeah. It's getting that way almost.
Yeah. I mean, have y'all this year, I don't know how many guns came out, but did y'all do a video on almost every gun that came out? No,
definitely no. We don't get we don't always do all the new guns right away. Just occasionally 50%
of them?
No, I wouldn't even say that usually.
20%?
Maybe something like that.
Okay, 20%.
Maybe something like that.
So let's say you do 20% of every new firearm release every year. It's eventually going to become the Google of guns.
Yeah.
Y'all's channel.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
and the way it comes across too, it's very. Did your dad listen to this show?
Yes.
Can you give him like a anti-big head pill when I say this?
Okay.
it's very he has a voice like a teacher. You know? Yeah. But not like any teacher. Like one of those teachers, like a college professor that you couldn't wait to go to their class. And you just sat there, and it brings you in and you listen. Even my wife, when I had watched a video or two, because I don't watch y'all that much. But when I was watching videos of y'all's, 3 years ago, she'd be like, I really like listening to this guy. I really don't know what he's saying, but, I could listen to this guy forever.
Yeah.
That's one thing that kind of draws you in with his voice. With you, on the other hand, they're scared to death. They're like, I got to listen because he scares me.
Yeah. Yeah, being a teacher definitely helps. I don't have that experience. That's why I can't really talk very well.
Did he come out and say he was a teacher?
No, oh yeah.
Oh, people knew.
Oh
okay,
yeah,
right.
yeah. Everybody knows
That's
that.
why I said like.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know if people.
Yeah. No.
I said that like it was something else. Like, did he come out and say he was?
Yeah. Oh man.
It's sad if you got to be. I'm a teacher. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, really. Like I give people information. Don't tell anybody.
I nurture your children.
Yeah.
The future of our world. I've helped build that.
That's right. Yeah.
Actually, that's kind of cool when you think about it.
Yeah.
When you're a teacher, you're building the future of our world.
Yeah, it's true.
Teach the children well, like we started the show off with.
That's right. That's why what they're being taught is so important.
You just need to find that song and plug it into the show.
Yeah, that's right.
Teach the children well. Sorry. I think that's the first time I ever sung on air. You should feel,
It's an honor.
Honored.
Oh man, what was
Washington State.
That's right. Yeah. So basically, I'm not extremely.
Are we finishing each other's sentences now?
Oh man, it's scary.
Wait, are we finishing each other's
sentences?
Oh my god!
Man. How did that happen? But yeah, so I'm not an expert on this. I'm more of a I'm not a super detail oriented kind of guy. I'm more of like let's step back and look at the big picture and figure out what's going on here, fundamental kind of things. But I've looked into the Washington State thing enough to know that one of the big things that happened with the new legislation there is that transfer of firearms is totally different now than it used to be, and they supposedly closed the so-called gun show loophole. And for the people who don't watch it on YouTube, which is probably nobody at this point, I just did quotation marks because that is ridiculous. Gun
Air
show
quotes.
Loophole. Yeah. So really all the gun show loophole is just private transfer. That's all. That's all that they're talking about, and they make it sound like some big scary thing. And even if you did have guns registered, guess who also has a gun show loophole? Criminals, because they don't care about registration or any of that stuff.
Being a criminal is a gun show loophole.
Exactly.
It's a Constitution loophole.
Yeah. It's crazy. But so now in Washington State, you can't even let someone borrow a gun.
That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
You were telling me that, like, if they're in a range.
From what I understand, even like if you're at a range, maybe there's something different about a public range. I don't know, but from what I understand, if you're at a range shooting somewhere and you want to be like, hey, try this out. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, let me ship it to the FFL and then have them ship it back to you instantly so that you can shoot the gun. It always makes me laugh whenever they try to pass laws that are basically impossible to enforce,
Like the majority of the ones we have out there passed already.
Yeah. And laws that aren't really about actually keeping anyone safer. They're really just about making it easier for law enforcement. Open containers like that.
Yeah.
Someone drinking a beer sitting in a passenger seat beer's legal to drink. Like, what does that doesn't do anything to anybody. The only reason that that's illegal is because it's easier for them to punish you if you were drinking while driving, you know, and you were under the limit. That's the only reason they have it.
Especially now. I can see maybe 20 years ago, open container laws.
Before the breathalyzer.
Before breathalyzers, blood tests as accurate as they are,
Right.
everything else. I get it. You know, how do I know you didn't drink that and hand it to your buddy?
Right.
But now you do know.
Yeah.
Yeah, here. You want to know how? Here, stick a needle in my arm.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll tell you exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's kind of like that to an extent. You know, it's like how they could never enforce that. If you're back in the woods somewhere on your land,
yep.
and buddy wants to shoot a gun, what are they gonna like? Oh, bring CSI out there and dust it for fingerprints or something? I mean, come on, that's ridiculous.
You want to talk about getting into a waste of money and resources there? Holy crap! But yeah, that's what a lot of these laws do. Is they just give us more situations where we're wasting money and resources.
Yeah. We gotta, like, it makes it to where we have to tiptoe through society.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that. It's hard enough to figure out a way to get a job, to make enough money to, you know, square out a little life for yourself and, you know, have some enjoyment and, you know, have a good life, you know, but we gotta tiptoe around all these little things, you know, to do the whole society dance, you know. It's just
let's talk about the society dance and things you can and can't say and do and not do. We've all screwed up and said something stupid.
Yeah.
That we regret.
Right.
Apparently, we're not allowed to apologize anymore.
How so?
Well, just you got to tiptoe through society.
Oh yeah.
You know, if we said something on the show offensive that we didn't mean in an offensive way. Let's say we didn't give that disclaimer earlier.
Oh yeah.
And then somebody's like, did he just say Bushmasters were made to kill a bunch of people in an enclosed environment? You know, you could come out normally and say, hey, oh my gosh, I didn't mean that. That's not what I meant. I'm sorry. Nowadays, no. Once you said it, it's done.
Yep.
You know? Now, there are some people that say some stuff and you're like, okay, you're not really sorry.
Yeah.
You know, I get that part. I've said assault weapon before. It slipped out, and I'm like, oh, crap, why did I say that?
Yeah. And it's just a word. You know.
I've said clip a bunch.
Oh, yeah.
I have said clip. And I'm one of the biggest people when somebody says clip, dude, call it a magazine.
Yeah.
I'm not a jerk about it. You know, I want everybody to learn the proper terminology, the proper way. But I've said clip.
Yeah.
You know, I've said, where were we? I think we were at a shoot, and I said something about I need to go fill up my clip.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, did I just say that?
Yeah.
But that's a cultural thing. That's
it's just
up.
culture.
That's what TV say. That's what movie says. You know, go back to culture, and then we'll get back to the Washington State thing. We promise.
Yeah.
Our culture, and this is a serious note. I'm not trying to be funny. Our culture really needs to freaking be more accepting.
It does.
Because I don't know how many times I've been at a gun store and somebody has said clip, or somebody has said, well, I want the semi-auto, but do I have to go through a tax stamp because doesn't that shoot all the bullets at the same time? And they get their eyes rolled at. People roll their eyes at them. Yep. They call them idiots. Or the way they explain it is not embracing. It's not like, hey, dude, you know, call it a magazine.
Yeah.
Clip is something that, you know, pop culture has called it.
Yeah.
Just say, dude, just be nice to them.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people out there that are on the fence and they're wanting to get into this. And if you're not correcting them in the right way and you're treating them badly and you're acting like they're idiots because they didn't know the difference between a revolver and a Glock, they're not going to come into our little culture. They're not going to be an extra person to help us in our Second Amendment battle. And
none of it's real. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many interactions that we have with other people. Mm-hmm. You know, you're talking to them through this little like haze filter of culture.
Yep.
And you could be in a situation where you're, you know, angry at each other or you have some sort of disdain for each other, and it's a totally made up. It's a totally made up thing. You know, and that's what makes culture kind of, that's the downside of it, you know.
And there's going to be a ton of times when you're going to know more than the guy you're talking to about guns.
Yeah.
Especially if it's some guy that is, he's played Call of Duty the last, lost my voice. Plays Call of Duty the last 10 years. But now he wants to learn about the firearms he's used in the game in real life. If he tells you he played Call of Duty, that's his experience, and you laugh, we just lost one more person on our side.
I see it all the time in the digital world on YouTube, where as soon as some guy makes a comment and says, "Oh, that's a gun from Call of Duty," he just gets hammered.
Why?
It's ego. It's all ego. It's because those people are like, I play Call of Duty too, but I also know about real guns, so I'm going to make that guy feel small.
Don't do that. If somebody is wanting to get into guns, embrace them. Say, "Come on, we'll teach you." If they say something stupid that's related to Call of Duty that is not the way a gun functions or something, don't tell them they're stupid. Don't tell them they're wrong. Well, they're wrong.
Unless they're being rude about it. Unless they're being rude about it or something.
Be a teacher. Embrace them. Let them in. Now, like you said.
Yeah.
If they're being rude and, in Call of Duty, it's this, this, and this. No, it's not. Well, you're stupid because that's what Call of Duty said. Maybe escalate a little bit.
Yeah. That's different. Yeah.
But if they continue to be troll-like in real life, then, there's no helping them. But there's lots of people. I've seen it happen firsthand where a kid was into airsoft and he was talking about his airsoft guns at a gun store, a fairly big gun store.
Yeah.
And they just bashed him like a freaking bully in school, not physically, but I would not be surprised if that kid went out to his car and was crying.
Yeah.
It was that bad.
Wow.
And he probably never wanted to go to another gun store in his life.
That's just horrible.
We can't freaking do that.
What kind of person does something like that,
I don't know, but if you're watching this, don't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we need everybody we can. And if they come in and they don't know what they're talking about, well, we teach them. It's that simple.
Yeah.
We teach them.
Yeah, exactly. And also, don't be a know-it-all. Don't be that guy that takes someone under their wing and then is overly opinionated and tries to impose your personal opinion views about guns on them.
There's some things that are obvious opinions you may have about firearms, and there's some things that are facts.
Right, like safety. The basic rules of safety. All those kind of facts. But 45, you don't want that, or 9, you don't want that. Yeah, don't tell people stuff like that, even if you think it yourself.
Just because it's a woman doesn't mean the only thing she needs is a pink 38 special.
Yeah. I feel like if I was a woman, I would feel patronized by that. Yeah. Like that would be offensive. Like, oh, I have to have a pink gun for me to like guns. Like,
no.
That's crazy. But I don't know. Some of them like it.
Is the compound taking off?
I think it might be.
Or you just got a really loud air conditioner?
I don't know. Oh man, but yeah, it's
back to Washington.
Yeah.
So, what's funny is, I'm a very business-oriented person, and a lot of times that sometimes gets in the way of the logical kind. We're all on the same ship together.
Yeah.
And immediately I thought, well, if I'm in range, I'm going to hire somebody to stand out there with every person that has more than one person shooting, just to be ready to sign off on the transfer and get $30 every time. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's just, and how do they think that's going to work? Another thing I don't understand too is like with gun registration, let's say they tried to enact something like that for the whole country.
Yeah.
First of all, think about how long would it take to get guns registered. And, now, of course, I would not be a part of this, but most people probably wouldn't even get their guns registered. Of course, none of us or any of our friends would, all of our friends would definitely register all their guns, including us.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is funny to think that we wouldn't, but.
Well, you know why? Because we're law-abiding citizens.
Exactly.
And we go by the law.
Yeah.
And guess who won't?
Yeah.
The people who don't give a crap about the law.
Exactly.
And the ones that would be able to walk in our house and take us out without hesitation because we did the right thing.
Yeah.
And we registered our firearms, and they ended up getting taken away.
Yeah.
And I know everybody listening to this is like, yeah. And I wish there was a way, and there's not. I wish there's a way to get the stuff, the content that we provide in front of the people that don't think like us.
Yeah. I tried. I actually asked someone from Moms Demand Action.
Yeah, you told me about that.
In Nashville. I had several emails with them back and forth. I was trying really hard to get one of them to come on my show because here's the thing, people hate them. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest. This is unpopular to say. I do not hate them. They are people just like us.
I don't hate them. I just think they're ignorant.
Exactly. They're ignorant of some realities.
And calling someone ignorant is not calling them stupid.
No, just unaware, basically.
Right. Every single person that I have ever dealt with in a work environment, and well, I say that like there's been thousands. There's been 3 people I've dealt with in a work environment.
Yeah.
That when it's a one-on-one thing, and I talk to them and I give them the facts, and I don't use cliches. Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Yeah.
That just ticks them off.
Yeah.
And I just say, hey, look, here's the facts. Here's the FBI stuff. Here's this. Here's that. This is what a gun really does. This is what this is like. Hey, you want to go to the range with me? Then they go to the range with me. They're all gun people now.
Yeah.
Because it was one-on-one. You get 2 or more in a room, you can't fight the mob mentality.
No, you can't.
You cannot do it. You cannot get 3 or 4 Moms Demand Action people on you and expect to change their minds.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
No.
It's just the way humans work.
And if they're already like a part of that organization, not just like a follower of it, but I mean like actually in the organization, they're not going to change their minds anyways. They're already, whether they believe it or not, they are devoted to whatever that cause is.
Right. Exactly.
But
if you got one of them on here and you talk to them, and then maybe you got them out to the range and you said, hey, look, here's how you work this gun. Here's how you work that gun. Now, this is what you were saying about this gun. This is why that's wrong.
Right.
It's everything we're arguing is facts for us.
Yeah.
It's all logic and facts.
Yep.
Nothing we argue is emotion.
Yeah.
Now, we can use emotion in it because we're very passionate about the Second Amendment.
Right.
But when it boils down to it, and I said this last time I was on the show, no government, no constitution, I got a right to defend myself with whatever you're coming at me with.
Yep.
So if you're coming at me with a microphone, I got a right to defend myself with a bigger microphone.
Yep.
If you're coming at me with a steel pipe, I get a steel pipe.
Yep.
If you're coming at me with a full auto AR, I should have a right to have a full auto AR.
Yep.
If you're coming at me with a tank, guess what? No government, no constitution. I'm going to find a way to get a tank to protect myself and my family.
It's true.
That's what the Second Amendment is about. It has nothing to do with the style of firearm. It has nothing to do with the capacity of ammunition. It has nothing to do with the rate of fire. None of that. It's defending yourself and your family. You have an innate biological right to do that.
And that reminds me of something that actually I'd like to talk to you about, because this is something that's been kind of an open discussion on my radio shows, because I've got listeners that disagree. I've got listeners that agree with me on it.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, but I am of the opinion that when you said the thing about the tanks, that there has to be a red line somewhere, because when it comes to weapons, you have everything from nuclear bombs to little pocket knives.
Nuclear bombs, though.
So there has to be a line, I think, somewhere, and I think as gun people, we need to decide where that is.
The line would be, when is there secondary casualties? I guess is the word I'm looking for.
That's what I do. I put it at explosives. Is where I put it usually.
I don't know if it's a grenade. I mean, if somebody's lobbing grenades at me, and I can't get my head up, I'm going to lob grenades back.
Yeah, it's true.
The problem with a nuclear weapon argument, that when you say, well, I believe I should have full auto, we might as well take it all the way to nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
No, that's dumb, because nuclear weapons are offensive weapons. They're designed to take out hundreds of thousands of people with one single weapon, with one single piece of ammunition. Designed to wipe out civilizations.
Yeah.
If somebody launched a nuke at me and I'm like, I got a right to have a nuke and throw it back at them, you're going to wipe out half the world.
Yeah, exactly.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
That's just as dumb as...
and that's the obvious one that obviously shouldn't be available to the public. But
right.
But to me though, even Okay, like let's imagine a world, right, where you could walk into a store and for $1,000 you could buy, some type of rocket, some type of shoulder fired rocket.
Okay.
To me, I have to be honest. Like I feel it's hypocritical saying this, but I think we would live in a little bit more of a dangerous world if for $1,000 you could walk into a shop and buy a shoulder fired rocket.
Right.
I mean, I really do think that probably.
I think if we were at risk for someone showing up at our door, let's use this. Let's say if we lived in the Middle East,
right?
I think we should have a right to have a RPG.
Yeah.
If I'm at risk for somebody down the street having an RPG and shooting it at my house, you're damn right I want an RPG.
Yeah, definitely.
But here's the kicker, and this kind of throws your line back in.
Yeah.
We're not in that world.
Right.
We haven't seen any RPG murders in the United States of America.
Right.
So it's kind of a tough, because here's the thing. If we give that inch to the anti-gunners, they'll take a mile.
Yeah.
It's human nature. Everybody does it. If somebody's like, hey, go get a slice of pizza, you'll probably get 2 or 3.
Right.
Everybody does.
Yeah. Well, my thinking though,
I think if it's, God, that's a tough one.
It is a tough one
because here's
we lose credibility if we push it out too far. That's my thinking on it.
Well, you do and you don't. There comes to the point of realism. I think RPG is still in a SH hits the fan scenario.
Mm-hmm.
It's still realistic.
Yeah.
That you could feasibly find one of those, whatever.
Yeah.
Salvaging, what's the word I'm looking for? Scavenging.
Yeah.
Jeez. F-16, fully loaded. 1, are you going to know how to fly it?
Yeah.
2, is that a defensive weapon against one individual? No, because you can take out a whole city block if you want. It's tough. It's not really a gray area because, golly.
It's tough, isn't it?
It is. Because, let's say.
Of course, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Technically speaking, you can have a shoulder-fired rocket. A civilian can have one.
Right.
It's just a lot of hoops you got to jump through.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not so bad. I don't know. It's tough.
I think if it's a situation where that is a realistic threat on your life, then yes.
Yeah.
You should be able to have it.
Yeah.
And let's take out the hypothetical, or let's put the hypotheticals and ramp them up. If an F-16 is a realistic threat to your life, then yeah, I think you should be able to have a surface-to-air missile.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I'm probably going to find a different place to live eventually, if that is the case.
If an F-16 is a threat on my life, Tennessee and Kentucky have a lot of caves.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm going to find one and own it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that it boils down to that. If it's a realistic threat on your life, then yes, you should be allowed to own it.
Yeah.
And guess what? Fully automatic weapons are realistic threats on our lives.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Go downtown Nashville on a weekend night, party night. You'll hear something.
Oh, yeah.
That's a realistic threat.
Especially, there's this place in Nashville that they call it Dodge City.
Yeah.
Is what it's called. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah.
I forget.
Dickerson Pike, right?
No, it's not Dickerson Road. It's like in Metro Center somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forget what the actual name of the community is, but it's referred to as Dodge City. Yeah. And it's like something out of a movie. Like back when I was working security, I never worked there because no security company would be stupid enough to actually take a contract there. But from the place that I worked, like there were people who lived there who like were familiar with that area and went there because they knew people who lived there and stuff. Right. And I've worked with people, lots of different. I've known people who were familiar with it, so I've heard stories.
Right.
And literally, it is almost like the Wild West.
Yeah.
Like I actually had a friend who installed satellite dishes, and we were shooting one day, and he was like, "Hey man, check out this audio clip I recorded on my phone." He was like, we were at Dodge City installing a satellite dish, and I heard some gunfire, and flipped up my phone and started recording the audio.
Yeah.
And you listen to it and you hear like pow, 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 pow. And then all of a sudden an AK, what sounded like an AK, opened up in full auto after that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow.
Well, and let's go back, because I think what happens is the reason we were both brain farting, okay, that's tough, is we were getting emotional. Well, if they do this, they do this.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of our Constitution.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to vomit when people say, oh, our Constitution's outdated, our blah, 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 blah. No, it's not. The Constitution is a beautiful document because it is slightly flexible.
Right.
There's amendments. There's different things that can happen. Right now, no. I guess technically you could own a F-16. It just had to be demilitarized.
Yeah.
But you can't have a militarized F-16. Right. You can't have a militarized tank.
Yeah.
You can have a tank.
Yeah.
Just can't be able to shoot. Now, let's say we get invaded by China and we have a full-blown Red Dawn going on. But we still have a government intact, but they're still here. We're fighting them. If the government's not able to be right down the street from here with surface-to-air missiles taking out any kind of planes that are attacking you, then there needs to be flexibility to put some stuff in place.
It's a really good point. Yeah.
If you can afford it, here's the new amendment stating you can have these surface-to-air missiles to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Right now, we're not in that situation. We are in a situation where I can go to the corner KB. I can go to the corner BP station and have an AK-47 full auto stuck in my face to get my wallet. So guess what? That Second Amendment's in place.
Yeah.
And you just can't take away a person's right to defend themselves.
Yeah. And full auto isn't a big enough difference. That's one thing I don't understand. Full auto is this super scary, illegal thing without a ton of paperwork, and it's no different from semi-automatic regular guns, which is very reasonable for us to have. So it doesn't make sense that full auto would also be just as reasonable. I just don't get it.
Unless you've got a corral of cattle that are all piled into a half-acre area with a fence where they can't get out.
Yeah.
You're not going to take out more people with a full auto weapon just because of the accuracy issues.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to take out more people with a semi-auto if you know what you're doing.
Yep.
We're not condoning that.
Yeah.
But the people that argue against any kind of firearm, they don't understand it. And that's where we're back to, we have science, facts, and logic on our side.
Right.
We don't have anything that's, oh, I feel this way.
Yeah.
Because, yes, we do feel this way. But here's the science and logic and facts that back what we feel.
Yeah. Yeah. And the problem with feelings is a lot of times we don't even understand really why we have those feelings. No. So that's why they're not very credible as evidence for something like that.
Yeah. The Constitution is a living,
breathing
document.
Right.
That provides us flexibility and provides us safeties and provides us rights.
Yeah.
And it needs to be treated like that and respected.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us out there that have taken oaths to protect it.
Yep.
And there's a reason that oath is in place.
Yeah. Because
if you let that Constitution be deemed antiquated, we need to get rid of it, you've lost our country. Yeah. It's gone.
Ultimately, it's the Constitution that we're all, I hate to say serving, but it's the one that we've all kind of agreed, we like this, we'll live here. Right. So in that sense, like that's what we are under, and that's what we respect. It's not all these leaders and all this kind of stuff. They're kind of there to keep things working.
Right.
But that ultimately is just like, what's that group, the Oath Keepers?
Yeah.
That's really cool. That group. And people, talk about that whole scenario of, the government becomes tyrannical, all this kind of stuff. That's not really going to go how some people think. I mean, most people in the government are going to be like us. They're not going to.
We have interviewed countless cops. We've interviewed countless military. We've interviewed special operators. We've interviewed officers in the military. And anytime we have somebody in the government that we interview, we ask them, if an edict came down tomorrow and you're to go take everybody's guns, what are you going to do? Almost emphatically, hell no.
Yeah.
Won't do it. Because none of them in their right mind are going to go take their uncle's gun or take their neighbor's gun or try.
Yeah.
And if you're in public office, if you're in the military, if you're in the police, I don't know if firefighters, any of those, you swear an oath to protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's not just something cute and fancy with your hands raised where you're like, yay, I'm part of this now. No, that means a lot. That means a ton. I think every American should have to swear that oath. The moment you start saying things like it's an antiquated document, the moment you start saying, well, the Constitution was made a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it is kind of old.
Yeah.
Yes, so's our country. And we've had our country the way it is because of that Constitution.
Yeah. And it's really not that old when you think about it.
No, not compared to other countries.
Yeah.
We're a baby compared to other countries.
Yeah.
So it's...
Anything that, old is extremely relative. And you notice how they always use the term, how old something is to suit whatever group's needs at the time.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that has to be this way because it's old, or it can't be this way because it's old.
Yeah. Well, let's use the gun rights thing. Oh, well, the Second Amendment was written about muskets and, revolvers and so. Well, yeah, it was written back when those were the guns that we had.
Yeah.
But the Second Amendment says arms.
Yeah.
That could be a musket. That could be an M16. That could be a rocket launcher.
Yeah.
It could be a lead pipe.
Yeah.
If you're using it as a weapon.
I guarantee if you went back in time and asked them and were like, when you wrote this, did you think that, did you take into effect technology progressing? They'd be like, well, yeah, of course. What do you mean? Like, they would have probably thought you were an idiot for even thinking that was a question.
And now that you said that, this could be a funny video we could do on YouTube at some point where it's like somebody goes back in time, an anti-gunner, tell everybody that you meant this for muskets and everything. Oh, yeah, it's only muskets and revolvers. If you come up with full auto and, semi-auto weapons, oh, sorry, you only got to have muskets. Sorry, buddy. I doubt that's what was going through their head.
Yeah.
We specifically mean this for muskets only, ever. We know they're going to invent takes. We know they're going to invent, AR-15s and AK-47s and Glocks, but you can only have a musket.
Yeah.
It's freaking garbage.
Yeah. And honestly, the Second Amendment, let's say our country was a lot older, and let's say that the Constitution, all that stuff was written way before guns, back in the time of swords.
Yeah.
And it had said this, it could have said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And still people might have been trying to say, oh, they were just talking about swords, not guns. They didn't even know about guns. Arms, way to defend yourself. That's all that they mean. It wouldn't matter. Honestly, they might even like one day when like everything is digital, and they might even mean like an arm might be a certain type of program that keeps people from like hacking into your system or something,
or viruses or whatever.
Yeah, anything to sustain your life basically. That's reasonable.
Your life, your family, your friends, anybody that you care about, or anybody close to you.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, I guess we talked enough. It was pretty long. Let's see about an hour and 20 minutes.
Word.
So I guess we'll leave you guys alone for a while and let you get back to.
Now promise them you won't leave them for 2 weeks again.
Yeah. I'll try to come back again next week.
Actually, it may have kind of been my fault, wasn't it?
Yeah, you had all my stuff, man.
I had one of your stuff.
That's right.
Only one of your stuff.
Okay, yeah, just one stuff. I think Derek's gonna be on next time. You got to come on sometime with Derek.
Okay,
he's a cool dude. You like him?
I'll do it.
He's a character. But yeah. Anyways, so I guess we're done here. We'll talk to you guys.
That's your
sign
off.
It is.
I guess we're done here.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right. We'll see you later.